3, 2, 1.
How you doing, Garrett?
We're back. Oh, great. How are you doing, Justin?
We are back.
We are back.
You are correct.
We're super back.
It doesn't matter how we start. We're just back.
We're back in action.
Welcome to Story Builders. We build stories here.
That's why we call it Story Builders.
In front of me is Garrett.
In front of me is a coffee cup that says, I helped Reading Rainbow.
I did help Reading Rainbow.
Yeah,
they did a
Justin's
Kickstarter. It was so much fun.
I know. I mean, I
LeVar Burton was like in tears by how much money he got so quickly.
Well, yeah, because it's one of the best. Like, I learned how to read because of that show, and now I can go anywhere.
I love the BuzzFeed, or was it Funny or Die, of the whole Reading Rainbow thing where he's just like, I have become a god.
Yes.
I have so much power. It's
yes.
Like, this has too much power. I must destroy all books.
All books. Oh, how Fahrenheit 451 of you.
Yeah.
Love books.
So, we're getting to the point of where we're going to stop repeating ourselves about who we are, but we're going to do it one more time.
Okay. You're Justin Zagri. Your favorite food is pineapple, and you love sitting and playing Zelda on your DS. You're also the writer-director of Severus Snape and the Marauders and creator.
One of those things is correct.
Ooh, good. Let's guess which one.
You are James Potter, played by Garrett Schweighauser. Actually, I'm sorry. You are.
I love that I am James
Potter. You
Potter.
are James Potter, and the actor is... No, the actor is James Potter. The character is Garrett Schweighauser.
Formerly known as...
Yes.
Prince.
Yeah. And we are all... Broadstrokesproductions is the YouTube channel I own, and Garrett and I are working on a new series called Story Builders, where we build stories from scratch and record us talking about the story that we want to build. As we build them.
And
yes.
when they're finished, they will be built, and you can watch them or listen to them and enjoy them.
Yes. We came up with this because we were writing The Great Wizarding War, which is an audio drama sequel to the fan film Severus Snape and the Marauders.
And it's going super well.
Garrett and I are writing it together, and the back and forth was just so much fun.
In fact, we sat at a Denny's a couple days ago and worked out some of the last episodes.
We did, and we had a hard time with one little line Peter Pettigrew was going to say.
Yeah, we did, because my way is correct.
My way is correct. So
that's where we are.
Yeah. And basically, we were like, this is so much fun, and this is so insightful that we should just record us coming up with new stories.
Yeah, because it's fun to watch and listen to the finished product, and if that's all you love, then enjoy it. But, it's also fun to watch and listen to how things come to life.
Yep.
And this is your chance to get that inside stuff.
Yep.
Inside the writer's room.
Yep. So where we are at now, we came up with a bunch of stories. We pitched them. We whittled them down to one story, which is a adventure with a mashup of universes. An adventure with Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and Toph from The Last Airbender.
Yes.
They're going to go on an adventure, and based on a Patreon request I put out saying I want people to give me suggestions on who the villain should be. The villain that was suggested was Gozer from Ghostbusters.
From the Ghostbusters universe, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, if you have not, I just touched your foot. I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to connect. So if you haven't watched the last 3 podcasts or listened to them, do that. Subscribe, like, get the ding, because if you become a Patreon member and you support us, then you can kind of influence the way that we do things. We put on special videos for Patreon. We are on Discord hanging out all the time, and it helps give us new and better equipment and, better coffee cups, because I don't have a Reading Rainbow coffee cup. Although I do have Cinelli's. So.
In fact, we're going to do a Patreon thing right now. You ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go.
Okay.
We're doing Patreon. It's kind of like Snapchat.
Yeah, it is.
And it's...
I've never used Snapchat before.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know what I'm doing.
Yay.
But I'm just going to say, hey, what's up?
That is the best angle ever.
Best angle ever.
Look at you.
So complimentary. And it's about to end in 3, 2, 1. See?
Oh, now we got to watch it back.
Oh, now we got to watch it back. And I'm going to not watch it back. I'm just going to go ahead and play it. And now it's sent off to the patrons.
Oh, forever.
Only the patrons can see it, though.
All that gold that you got to see, they get to see all the time. I once sent them pictures of the Stanley Hotel when I visited it, because that's where Stephen King wrote The Shining, one of the best horror movies. On the Discord
chat. Which is one of the perks of the Patreon.
That's right.
That's right.
Anyways.
And I just did a live Q&A with Zach, who...
yes. Zach Jaworski. Funny, exciting.
Professionally funny now.
And pretty fantastic. Yeah. Well, he's always been professionally funny. But
were you at his comedy special first time? Okay, so he's still doing it.
Yeah.
And it's always in Burbank and North Hollywood, so you're out of excuses. Go to one of them.
You can't just say out of excuse. I've only made one excuse. I've got like 6 more. I'll go because Zach
you
is
have to go.
hilarious.
He's amazing.
He's so funny.
His routine is great. I've seen him twice now, so
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And now he's headlining.
Yes, as he should be. He's funny.
And Zach, for people who are uninitiated, plays Peter Pettigrew in Snape and Marauders.
If you haven't been initiated
along
yet,
with
you will be.
Wizarding War. And he plays more than Peter Pettigrew. He plays a couple of roles.
Yeah, see if you can catch his voice. I couldn't when I listened to it, but I was like, oh yeah, I know that is him. He's great. Oh man. And the Wizarding War, if you haven't watched it yet, first episode's already out. Second episode is getting ready to come out. So
soon.
Get on it. It's so fun. We also do a talk back with some of the stars from the Great Wizarding War, which if you're a Patreon, you already know that. But if you just want to subscribe and get those two, it's a cool inside chat with some of the actors and the characters that they portray. Yep. So it's fun.
So we're all over the podcasts, and this is on YouTube. So
is it?
Press that subscribe button either way.
Wow, other way.
Other way.
You know we're making a living
nether
out
realm
of
way.
Talking, right?
And if you're subscribing on YouTube, press that bell so you get notifications quickly.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, enough selling. Let's talk about where we're at. Okay, so Daredevil and Toph adventure, and they have to deal with
Gozer. So here's what we established in the last episode is that Toph so we're in Daredevil's universe. There is a comic convention and an occult convention happening back to back. And one of the people in the occult convention in a Billy Mays style is selling one of his occult rituals where he changes pennies into dollars using reality bending magic he steals from Gozer. Gozer uses this little stealing of her power to send a shadow of itself through the keyhole of the gate. The gate being established in Ghostbusters is what you need the gatekeeper, the keymaster for. Gozer comes through in the occult convention, but the rip that she creates in the universe also brings through Toph from the comic convention, which Matt Murdock doesn't know anything about The Last Airbender, but in this universe, they exist. It exists as a comic or a show on Nickelodeon to watch and enjoy. Otherwise, Toph, there would be no way she could come through. Because there needs to be a piece of her image.
Right.
That's what she kind of,
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've also established that Gozer's goal is to go to Stark Tower and use the arc reactor to come to full power, open the gates, and let her its full consciousness come through and enslave the world.
Right. That's all we've got so far. Yeah. We've also established that
the type of story we're going to tell as well.
Yeah, through the 7 steps of John Truby's book, Anatomy of Story.
Right. When talked a little bit about this last time, but basically we want to use a different type of story structure for the stories that we tell because it's going to it's fun for us to have rules to live within.
Sure.
Because, like when we're writing The Great Wizarding War, we're living in J.K. Rowling's rules, and it makes us be more creative as people, which is always good. More creative, better. So, yes.
More limitations.
Yes.
Makes for better work.
Absolutely.
If you're completely limitless, then you can kind of do whatever you want. But even then, you have to set up rules for yourself so characters can have weaknesses both physically and emotionally.
Absolutely.
So we kind of figured out the weakness and need of our characters.
Did we figure out the weakness and need of... Oh, we did for Gozer.
Yeah.
Her weakness is that its weakness is that it can't use its powers fully. But what can Gozer do in this universe, and how are we going to pit it against Matt Murdock and Toph? We've got to figure out how Toph and Matt come together.
We did figure that part out, but now we're just like, now what?
Yeah, now how do the three of them come together and end at Stark Tower with their fun visual...
So there needs to be some kind of disturbance that gets their attention. It's probably through a way that they're sensing. So Toph can feel things through her hands and feet.
Right.
Geological disturbances.
Yeah, she senses the same way that the Vols sense in the Airbender is with the tremors in the earth.
Right. So maybe there's something going on there that's catching her off guard or making her put on guard.
On guard.
Now, and we also established that she needs to kind of have a journey of like getting through New York and like experiencing the subway systems and how chaotic that is for her.
Well, I think we also haven't really established Toph's goal. I mean, her goal obviously is to get back to the world. Yeah. But how is she going to grow as a person in this thing?
I think that's what we need to figure out. That's what her weakness is that we know that she's very stubborn and she's very
I don't need help from anybody kind of person, and she needs to learn to rely on people.
Well, I disagree, actually. I know she can do things by herself, and she even works very well with Aang, Sokka, and what is her name?
Your fan card's about to be taken.
Waterbender. No, what are you? What is your name? You're not Korra, because you're Korra's like aunt, I guess. Doesn't whatever. I'll think of it in a second. She knows how to work with a small team of people, but she doesn't necessarily know how to lead people. And what I thought was interesting in the Korra series is that Toph became like a military leader and advisor to Aang. I mean, I'm sure all three of them became advisors, but Toph was pretty heavily featured in the first season of Korra as like the military leader. She even shows up in the series as like this matriarch person. Right. So I want to see her growth from a team player to a leader. And I think she could do that really well because Matt, his weakness is that he doesn't want to be Daredevil. He feels like it's morally wrong to be Daredevil.
So she motivates him.
She becomes his motivator and leader.
That's smart. I would have gone the other way.
Right. Well, because she's young, you would think that it should be the other way.
Right.
But that's why we should flip it on its head.
And that's why it makes for a good story.
Oh!
Good job, Garrett.
Head so big. Microphone.
They can't hear you.
It's so large. The headphones.
You need to get closer.
My head is so big that my headphones don't fit anymore.
Oh.
I wanted the distance to be a sound. That's fine.
Okay. Well, if you get super loud, then yeah.
Oh no.
Move the mouse. Got to keep our light source on.
Our light source is it's the incredible white screen on Justin's computer. It's a YouTube video that's 10 hours of one white screen.
Yeah.
But because I don't trust humanity, I've paused it just in case they threw like a black screen in the middle somewhere.
Right. Just make it because it's getting later.
And we don't yet have a video set up with full lights and everything.
Sun's going down, big guy.
We're working on it. Yeah, it's going to get interesting.
The first few episodes are going to be so fun to look at. Like, look at this fun setup they have.
Yeah.
I am actually looking into temp office spaces that are like a couple $100 a month, and we can just go in and
because we're creative people, we work so hard not to work in a temp office that we're creating our own temp office.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we don't have enough money.
That's true.
But that could change. Patreon.com/broadstrokesproductions.
Wow, it's so desperate in here.
What's that smell?
Oh, desperation.
Desperation.
It smells like middle school. Anyways.
Oh man, don't bring up
so
middle
close
school.
To home.
Middle school was the worst.
Yep, there's
Man.
true nightmare fuel is always in middle school. Yes.
So many bad experiences in middle school.
That's all right.
It's the worst kind of age to be.
When your body's
11
changing.
to 13.
Yep. Everybody's bodies is changing. Nobody wants to be with anybody else.
Yeah.
It's great. But you know what? Those are some of the most formative years where you find out who you are as a person.
Sort of. Honestly, it keeps changing for me. Like, I thought I knew who I was by the time of the end of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought I knew who I was when I started college, which was actually like 4 more years later. I didn't go to college until like 4 years after I graduated high school. And then I thought I knew who I was when I graduated high school. And then I finally
graduated college.
Graduated college, thank you. And then I was like, okay, I think I've finally figured myself out. Like maybe 2 years ago.
And now everything's changing again.
And it is changing again.
That's the way that it goes, man.
Yeah.
You got to find your core beliefs and then change them.
But middle school didn't happen.
Right. Great. Well, yes. Yep. That's healthy.
I think I blocked out a lot of stuff.
Yep.
That happened in middle school.
Well,
it's pretty bad.
That's healthy.
Pretty bad.
Deal with it, man.
Yeah. Okay. So
middle school was great for me, by the way. Everybody loved me in middle school. And
my fiance, whenever I bring up, man, I hated middle school, she's like, I love middle school. I'm like, well, good for you.
Good for you. I love you so much right now.
Yeah.
Middle school is great for me. Mm.
I'm not saying that's your voice.
I was traumatized.
Yeah, I was too. Yeah. Oh, well, it happens.
Anyways, where were we?
Not talking about middle school.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So we figured out what Toph needs, her arc, which she needs
to become a leader.
To become a leader.
Yeah. And
Matt's arc needs to pick up the mantle of Daredevil, and Gozu's arc is that she needs to get more power, and she realizes, now, what is she going to be doing? So, okay. How to bring these guys together is what Gozer is going to be affecting the city with.
Yeah,
that only they can feel.
Her goal is to open up the portal, bring her full self back.
Mm-hmm. So she needs energy.
She needs energy. She knows that. She knows that we gotta watch Ghostbusters. Make sure to get some ideas. But let's just say
that
that
following the rules.
Well, not necessarily, because she's in a new universe.
Right. Okay, well, we know that she uses the ghosts in Ghostbusters. That helps open a portal.
Yeah. So let's say the ghosts aren't around this time.
Right. But let's say in this universe there aren't ghosts.
Yeah.
Like in that Supernatural episode, because I know you love that show, when they go, the French Connection, when they go through the, into our universe, they're like, there's no God, there's no hell, there's no ghosts. Like, there's no supernatural in this universe. Maybe that's her problem. There's no ghosts in Matt Murdock's universe.
Yeah, so he could be he. We also established that as soon as it shows up, she takes possession of the person who is doing all the spell magic,
right,
and is walking around as that person,
and I think,
trying to figure things out.
I think she starts to try to like affect people, but she can't.
Yeah,
and so she starts to get drawn to the closest power source, which would be the third rail on a subway line. Could be, maybe she goes down to take the subway and sees the power on the subway line, and gets her kind of connected to the grid of the city.
Yeah.
Where she's like, man, okay, so
more power here.
The reason,
but it's not quite enough.
Right, well, it wouldn't be enough, but she could disrupt the trains down there.
Yeah, that might catch. Okay, so that's the disturbance. She's kind of disrupting the trains, which catches Matt's attention. Because
maybe Toph gets tased, right?
Oh yeah, we established that early, that she's freaking out in the middle of this area, and she's earthbending.
Right.
And the local police, who are used to mutants, their first reaction to this crazy power is to tase her.
Right, because they've seen so much.
Yeah.
So then Matt comes and it's like, I'm going to represent you, but I need to take you to my office.
Yeah.
So he takes her to the underground, and that's when we can have a conversation where she's like, it's too loud. It's too loud down here. There's so much noise.
Yeah.
And then Matt's like, no, you have to learn how to control it, like block things out.
Okay.
That's how I deal with it, with all this stimulus. If we can have a fun teaching moment there, and then all the noise stops for some reason. And then
the trains stop.
The
lights go out.
And then somebody's worst fear comes through the tunnel. Oh. Because Gozer is trying to create fear.
That's a great idea.
Because more fear, more negative energy, she can channel that to open the gate to the rest of its consciousness.
Okay.
Oh, man, and that'll be a fun first scene. Yeah. Everybody sighted is freaking out, and Matt and Toph can't see it because it'll be incorporeal.
Oh, man.
Which is going to suck for them.
Garrett is killing it right now.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
So the first fight scene is going to be really hard for both of them because they can't see, and they're actually now blind because it's a non-corporeal beast.
Right.
But what will keep Matt's head is he's like, no, we have to go. Like, we need to be like the rest of these people and run away. And Toph will say, no, we need to stand here and save these people.
Right.
And she then earthbends to block the sight of this creature from everybody else because they're not scared of it because they can't see it. So she blocks the sight of this creature using earth and metal and maybe imposing some of the electricity.
Well, she wouldn't be able to do that. She can only earthbend.
But if she earthbends the third rail like up without breaking it,
maybe that would be hard to translate visually.
That's auditorially.
It's not visual because it's auditorially. I think it'd be more like the question is, can we? If he blocks off this thing that is pretty strong, but not strong enough to get through solid rock of several inches, then it loses its power because it doesn't have the imagination of anybody else around it to react to it, to feel it.
Ooh, yes.
So that would be helpful, and it's just her first reaction is to like put the rocks up, and it's like, do you hear anything anymore? No, I don't think so.
Honestly,
so
but now they're surrounded by a bunch of people who are alone in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they're all as blind as they are.
Did you hear that train?
Yeah, that was kind of freaky.
That's cool.
Yeah. But it's your light bulb, Garrett.
Ding.
Ding. But they're all as blind as they are, and they help them out.
Yeah.
Through their own way of understanding how to get out of things.
Right.
Okay. That's smart.
And then I also want to see, so now that's Toph showing how good she is.
Yeah.
And I need to see them getting into where we can have some Daredevil fighting as well.
Daredevil does need to fight, so we need to figure that out. And what I'm thinking is, you don't need to. You can what needs to happen is that. Garrett came up. Let me figure something out first.
I'm sorry. Do it.
Okay, hold on to it. What needs to happen is that Gozer needs to become aware of these two presents, and she needs to get Matt Murdock's attention, get him to start thinking his fears. So what can come out of that is the fear of his fear of, I don't know, maybe seeing Elektra. So he has to fight Elektra.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And it's just for a second. Like,
I know.
She hears her voice, and he's just like, "No, you're dead. You cannot be alive. I can't. I don't believe this."
I think that's good for later.
Okay.
I think we should save that. I think they should fight their worst fears together.
Okay.
Towards Stark Tower. But I think in the beginning, when this monster is coming through the subway, she sees Toph stop this monster, because Gozer can see in the dark, because it's like where beings like that live.
Okay.
She sees Toph stop this monster with this weird magic she doesn't get.
Yeah.
And she sees like Matt is helping her out, and so she sends, by touching two people on the head, two random regular people, she makes it look like those two, like Toph and Matt, are these like, bad people or whatever. So that these two random civilians have to want to run up and fight them, right?
I don't fully understand.
So Toph stops this imaginary monster.
Yeah.
Okay, Gozer sees that and is like, I need to get rid of this person because she is interrupting me creating all this fear.
Yeah.
So she's strong enough to, when she reaches out and physically touches the people standing next to her, maybe they're two security guards or whatever, or it could be a he, whatever. When it reaches out and touches these people, she, in their minds, makes it look like Toph and Matt are like two people, maybe with guns, or like bad people that they need to stop.
Okay.
So then they pull out their weapons and go to like subdue Matt and Toph for creating this issue in the subway.
Okay.
And then Toph's first reaction is, let me throw these big heavy rocks at them. And Matt goes, no, these people are like civilians. Don't hurt them.
Right.
And he has to subdue them daredevilly.
Okay. I'm not sure how you would portray her possessing two people.
Well, she wouldn't possess two people. It would be more like she touches their shoulders and whispers a suggestion into their ears.
Again, how do you do that without showing it?
You have the rustle of someone touching someone else, and then she whispers, I think those two are bad guys.
Okay.
Or something much better.
It could be. The trouble that I've been noticing with Wizarding War is that it's difficult to portray geography.
Truth.
And in order to pull off blocking, there needs to be very specific things going on and happening. So, we create this. Basically, the best way to do it is to have the characters talk about what they're seeing,
right?
Which usually works. So it'd be more like these two cops are like, I don't know what the heck just happened, and then this woman walks out from behind the rubble that Toph just created. Said, "Ma'am, are you okay? Were you back there? Look,
right.
we're gonna need you to leave." But again, if everything's dark, then no one's gonna see.
Maybe all the lights don't go out.
Maybe not. But
maybe they would after this point.
Maybe. So what I'm saying is that if she comes out and the cops are like, "What are you doing here, ma'am? You can't be here right now, ma'am." And she touches them like, "I think those two are demons." And they turn around. Like, it's like, "Stop! I'm sure that you're not. That you're just a mutant." And you're not really looking that way. So put your hands up. And the other guy just freaks out too much and shoots or something. And
Toph metal bends the bullets, which would be super cool.
Can she metal bend stuff midair? Yeah, she can.
I mean, she's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I know. But she does have rules. She's moved rocks in midair.
Yeah,
no,
she has. But it's hard for her to tell, especially she would not know a bullet.
At first.
Not at first.
And
the
Matt's
first person,
Matt's fast enough to see a bullet and dodge it.
Yeah.
So he can get her out of the way.
He would get out of the way.
And she can say, like, I don't understand. I felt like these little rocks in the air.
What are these little metal pieces?
But they were moving too fast.
Well, she knows that they're metal.
Yeah, she knows they're metal, but they were moving way too fast, and she just didn't understand it. So eventually she can learn to metal bend bullets and stop them midair, Matrix style, Keanu Reeves style.
Right, because she's awesome. Yes. So I'm thinking for this first encounter, we have Matt and Toph taking the subway. Gozer finds the power source in the subway, stops the trains. The power doesn't go out in the station because she's just touching the third line, so it goes out for the railway.
Okay.
And everybody's like, oh, come on, what's going on? And then Gozer sort of feeds the energy, realizes she needs more fear. So then she sends this worst fear out of the subway tunnel to freak everybody else out.
Sure.
Toph and Matt don't see anything.
Yeah.
And they're, by hearing everybody around them, oh my God, what is that? All that stuff. Toph throws up a rock wall over the thing.
Sure.
everybody kind of looks at Toph and Matt.
Yeah.
And Gozer realizes that those two are going to be an issue to
Yeah.
creating fear. So that's when she says, I think those two are demons to the guards. And they're like, put your hands down. Like there would be no logic. She would go right into the core center of their brain.
Right.
So one is like, put your hands down. The other one shoots immediately. Matt gets Toph out of the way. She turns and he's like, no, don't. They're civilians. And then we hear some fighting because that'll sound fun.
Okay. Well, he would subdue the cops. But that would make him go backwards as far as him being Daredevil.
Oh, right.
So that's not necessarily a problem. You can have a person be a martial artist, and they can just be like, they can look at him like, dude, why did you just take out those cops?
But he's blind. That's the thing.
That's true.
And there people know that he's blind
That's
as
true.
he's standing there with his stick.
Yeah, that's true.
And they don't know that she's blind.
All right, so let's get back to thinking broadly here. They stop the animal, and let's just say, for the sake of argument for now, that all the lights go out, and they do stop the animal, and they have to help everyone get out.
Okay.
So now they're out, and they said, that was weird. Something's happening. So the best thing I can think of right now is that they hear a news report about another disturbance, and Toph is like, I think we should check that out. And
Matt's like, we need to figure out you
Matt's
first.
Like, yeah, it's like, no. We need to get you. Who are you? What are you even doing here?
Like there are cops for that.
Right. There's police for that. It's like, there's something about you that I know is real, and you need to stop playing games with me. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and we're getting you out of here.
You're not just a regular blind person. I think he should be playing up that he's blind to Toph the whole time.
Sure.
And then when they're down there,
yeah,
she's like, what is that? And Matt's like, I don't know. I can't see anything.
Right.
And then she throws up the rock, and then Matt helps get everybody out. And she's like, no, I know that you can see.
Right.
Like I can see.
So then he's just like, I'm not doing this right now. And she's like, fine, I'm doing it on my own. Runs off. And he's like, you have no idea what you're doing. She's like, maybe I don't. But I'm going anyways.
Lead by example.
Right. So then.
Which will teach her, because at the beginning when she runs off on her own, she's going to get herself into major trouble.
Right.
And then Daredevil shows up.
Yeah.
And helps her out. And then she has to realize at the end that she needs a team with her.
Okay. So that kind of gets into the next step of the 7 key steps. We've established weakness and need, desire, and the opponent, and now they're starting to formulate plans.
Yes.
That's the next thing is the plan, and the plan is usually the majority of the second act.
So then the second act would be Gozer is finding bigger and bigger power sources to attack.
Yeah.
And then they find that pattern.
Sure.
And they're like, the biggest power source in the city of New York is Stark Tower.
Right. Which we established in the last episode is that her ultimate goal will be Stark Tower. Use the arc reactor's power to open up a portal powerful enough to get her entire essence back.
Which will be good by the beginning of the third act for Matt to be like, it's Stark Tower. They don't need our help.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know who the Avengers are, but they have a literal god on their team.
Right.
And for Toph to have to convince him to come with her. Because Toph can have learned at that point, like, I can't go off on my own.
Right.
But I need you to come with me. And if he doesn't, she's like, I'm going to go by myself knowing it's a bad idea.
Right.
Guilt.
Guilt tripping him, right.
And Matt's like, and then he'll just show up and be like, all right, fine.
Right. So.
Oh my God. I just have this picture in my head of her like, I'm going to go on my own. And her trying to hail a cab for the first time.
Well, she doesn't even know what to do with
the wrong direction. Maybe she's like watched him do it or like heard him do it. So she's like yelling at random cars.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
Yelling at random sounds that she knows are cars now.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And eventually it would work. There's tons of cabs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Matt's like, no.
Yeah.
Take the train.
That would be funny. Okay. And that would be really fun because she's so reckless and she's just going off and Matt has to be her guide.
Yes.
It's like you're going to barrel off in the middle of nowhere without a map, so I have to be your map.
And I know one of Toph's rules is that she can't see what's happening in front of her face. Like one of the episodes, I know Aang waves his hand in front of her face.
She does it for herself. She's like, hey.
yeah, absolutely. So she can sense tremors in the ground and use that to put placement of people. Yeah. So Matt's thing is that he uses the vibrations in the air around him as well.
Oh, I just got a good idea.
Oh, what is it?
Oh, man.
Do it.
Okay. What do you think one of Toph's worst fears is?
Losing touch.
Losing touch with her abilities.
Well, yeah, or like losing the sense of touch.
So remember how sand like makes it so everything's too vague?
Yeah.
What if it's water? Water, she can't see anything. She's literally blind in water. But who can see with water? Whose senses are way more enhanced when there's water around?
Matt
Murdock's. So he takes advantage of Gozer's fears being manifest, so she can detect Gozer.
Right.
So Matt can detect Gozer, and they start working as a team.
Well, and that would be great. We'd have to establish this and see and check in The Last Airbender if Toph knows how to do this or not. Because the way Matt uses water is he uses the vibrations of water around him to bring the whole world to bigger light.
Right.
And the thing about Toph, that if sand is too vague, because everything sort of like spreads out, I don't know if water would be. I feel like rain she could use in the same way.
I don't think so, because it's all about the earth with her. It's her earth bending. So she could maybe, and it's her hearing doesn't get affected by that. It's all how she feels. But so if she's in a pool, like she's in rain or something, and she can't, and she's swimming, like Gozer turns the ground into a pool of water. So she literally can't sense anything, but Matt can, because the water enhances sound entirely.
Interesting. Okay, here's my thought.
Okay.
For that to work, Toph would have to be floating.
Sure.
Her feet can't be touching the ground.
Right.
Because then she can have she can describe the whole content of the container.
Right.
Because then whatever water is touching, she can see.
Yeah.
Because she's feeling the vibrations throughout the entire pool of water.
But it wouldn't make any sense to her.
Well, maybe not. I feel like she would be able to do that unless she was like fully submerged, floating, and not being able to touch anything around her. Am I recording on that camera? Is this camera recording?
Don't worry about me looking.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I pressed any buttons.
I'm paranoid and I double check everything.
Great. I didn't check anything the first time, so.
Yeah, that's why I'm in charge.
Great. And I also do this. That's why I'm not in charge. So she has to be not able to touch the ground.
Yeah.
For that to work, which is good because she's short. Okay. Matt technically also submerged in water would have a tougher time as well.
But what if she set it up? What if Gozer set it up so she's stuck in that pool, and he's not?
Yes. Matt would have a hard time in the pool, but he could handle it. He deals with vibrations of sound off of everything.
Right.
Toph learned how to see from the earthbending voles, where she originally learned how to earthbend, which is why she's so good at it. She wasn't taught secondhand by a teacher. She was taught by the actual creature that could earthbend first.
Right.
Just like the original airbenders were taught. Okay. So she can see through the earth using vibrations. Not necessarily because she's an earthbender, but because she learned to see the way that those animals see.
Sure.
What could be interesting and how Matt can help her is that he can see using vibrations of the air around him as well.
Yeah.
Now, Toph is not connected to air in the same way that Aang is connected to air.
Yeah.
But she is connected to earth and its vibrations.
Sure.
Now, if we can say that when it rains in New York City, the water that comes down is pretty acidic because it is being evaporated from the ground of New York. It has little bits of minerals in it, which is why there are things like acid rain in New York City. So Toph can be taught that in this universe, when it rains, there's a little bit of rock in it.
Okay.
And then she can see everything.
Okay. But Matt would have to teach her that.
He would have to teach her that.
That's good.
And he'd have to embrace fully his powers as well.
Yeah, he would. He would have to do that. So the question is, how does Gozer...
BT Dubs, we're going to have to double check all of this as well.
How does Gozer get defeated?
Well, okay. Well, we have to...
She's gaining power. The more power she gets, the more impossibly hard she is to defeat.
Right.
So there needs to be something smart that does that. Something smart that takes away her energy.
Grounds it out.
Okay.
if we're establishing that in this universe, Gozer is using electricity to get more powerful.
Arc reactor electricity, to be specific.
Right.
Yeah.
If Toph can ground out that electricity,
Yeah.
like, for example, going into the middle of the arc reactor,
Mm-hmm.
metal bending the pieces into the arc reactor, grounding all of the energy out into the earth,
Mm-hmm.
as Gozer is trying to suck all of it up,
Yeah.
then the backlash will reopen that fabric, that tear, because she's going to be forcibly removed from her host body.
Okay.
It's going to reopen that tear in reality that was established the first time,
Yeah.
and it's going to suck her and Toph back through.
Let's make sure she stays in the body of a person, so Mac Murdock, when she's weak enough, can kick her back into the dimension. He needs to have something physical to do.
Yes, agreed. So, like, maybe she can be, like, hanging on as Toph is, like, grounding out all of this power.
Yeah.
And Matt just steps up and kicks this stupid occult guy in the chest.
Right.
And Gozer flies out of the back of him and gets sucked through the dimension.
Right. Okay.
The
That's good.
only flaw
Generally,
I see in that, he needs to be working. The connection that Gozer comes through is him working the ritual magic.
Sure.
So they need that book to rework the same ritual magic, which was turning pennies into dollars, is the example I
Gozer
just
can hold
came
on
up
to the
with.
book the whole time.
Yeah, because she wants it to maybe get more power.
Right. It's got information that she needs.
So they realize that they need that book by doing some detective work, talking to people that Toph is not good at,
Yeah.
going to the convention,
Okay.
the occult convention,
Yeah.
where it all got started.
Sure.
That'll happen in Act 2.
Yeah. Yeah, because Matt's gonna she's gonna bring up how this happened and what happened, and they can go to the main Comic-Con and ask questions, and nobody will have any answers.
And they'll go to the occult con.
And then he'll be like, "So what else is here? Like, there's an occult con, and
There's a
and
knitting
Matt's
convention and an occult con.
And then Matt is like,
oh, yeah, let's go over there. Probably the answers are over there. Whatever."
And, like, he'll have to show Toph how to talk to people, because Toph doesn't really have any people skills.
Yeah.
Her charisma score is like a 7.
I think even less than that.
It was a D&D joke.
Oh, okay.
7's the base on a 15-point buy.
Okay. I was
My
thinking.
character just died, by the way. Oh, so sad.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm getting distracted by D&D stuff. We had a total party kill happen, and it was my first time that's ever happened. Everybody died.
Wow.
Yeah, man. My
In
druid.
World of Warcraft, there's when you're in a major instance and everyone dies, it's like, okay, let's do it again.
Well, the GM was like, listen, these phase spiders don't necessarily want to kill you. They want to interrogate you. But we were kind of over the campaign. It was a little sandboxy. So we're going to do something different. So I was like, no, they killed us. They got us. My poor druid, Greg Underdome, is no more.
Underdome is the greatest name in the world.
Well, now I'm playing the half angel, half human John Constantine in a horror genre.
All right.
Pathfinder
Before
campaign.
this goes too far off
Sorry.
the rails.
Oh, I'm so excited. Anyways.
Okay, so yeah, they can go to. So we figured out our end, on a general level.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can start talking to people about the occult, and they can see this one guy he was doing all these tricks, and then he started acting weird, and he walked off.
He just left all of his stuff behind.
Just left all his stuff behind.
Right. And what kind of tricks is he doing? He was changing, it has to be some sort of reality bending magic that he was doing.
Sure.
Ritual magic.
Yeah.
Maybe visualization magic would be better.
But where do they get the idea that they're holding on to a book?
Okay. Okay, how about this? Occult guy has an assistant who he treats really poorly.
That's another character, though.
One more character for just this one scene.
Okay.
Hold on, hear me out. No.
Okay.
He has this assistant, right? And the way he uses his magic is he opens up his ritual book. He says the Gozer ritual, and he has his assistant visualize. Ooh, this is better. Visualize what they want on the table, and the mass of pennies turns into something else that they visualized. A dove, whatever.
Okay.
Then Gozer can, instead of possessing the occult guy, it can possess the assistant. And the occult guy is pissed off because his assistant just walks off.
With his book.
Got it. And puts the guy in gives the guy this hallucination that he can't get out of.
Okay.
and then leaves. And that way, when they go to the occult convention, they're like, yeah, this guy's been babbling incoherently to himself about spiders in his hair and under his fingernails.
Yeah.
And we have, we don't know what to do with him.
Okay. That works.
Yeah.
Okay. So now they have to go look for this guy. So they start talking to witnesses and they start talking to random people. And then they say, like, they hear that this person was, they were last seen in a place that has to do something with power, like a power plant.
Well, I like the idea of them catching on the news, like train stations go out. So everybody in New York's going to freak out.
Well, we already had the first subway scene.
So then they can also hear that, like, there was a big blackout in Rochester because one of the power plants was sucked out of its power.
Well, we want to stay in the city. We don't want to make them run around too much.
Okay, fair enough. This is an airplane, Toph. Yeah, but like they keep hearing instances of, like, what the power thing, it gives them a trail of breadcrumbs to follow. And it has to be power mixed with fear that they keep seeing.
Yeah.
Right? So they can have those breadcrumbs as well as the personable breadcrumbs where Matt is going to excel is like talking to people and getting information.
Sure.
And that'll be good because Matt's like, no, just with my skills as lawyer Matt Murdock, I can do all this stuff.
We can even have a little moment where this dude is like giving him trouble, so he uses a bunch of legalese to intimidate him to get the answers he wants.
And Toph is like just picking up something to hit him with, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Fine.
And then he does his legalese, and then he's like, okay, fine, I'm sorry, I'll give you what you want. And then Toph is like, yeah.
But wait, now how do we?
That's how you do it.
How do we?
I'll lawyer you.
Oh man, I would love for her to learn that term. How do we establish that Toph knows he's Daredevil? Like,
he doesn't know he's Daredevil.
So when do we do that?
Know.
When do we do that reveal?
I think that the fact that she overhears that everyone's saying they can't see. So Matt Murdock goes into hero mode and starts helping people get out. And she's like, you can't see either, but you got these people out. How are you even doing that? And he's like, I don't know. I just know the city really well. And she's like,
okay.
I don't think so.
And she can do something to him, like put something in his way as he's walking.
Yeah.
And he just like steps over it.
Something like that. Something that makes that confirms her.
She would definitely test him
suspicions
that he can see, like how he sees. That way she can ask him, how do you see like that in a city that's so loud?
Right.
And then he kind of explains how it works. Then she's like, oh, okay. But we have to. So that establishes that she knows he can see. But how does she know that he's Daredevil?
I don't think the Daredevil thing needs to come into it. I think that the fact that he's more than blind needs to come into it.
In the beginning, sure.
It's like, yeah, I know you're blind, but you're doing things that a blind person couldn't do.
So maybe when she rushes off after we hear about like the second instance, we're like, oh,
or like somehow he gets into a fight and he does an extremely good job at the fight, and she's just like, no, you're not just blind, bro. There's something to you. And and maybe he can just explain himself.
Well,
he can be
okay.
like, it's
okay.
Yeah.
Like if they get mugged or something on the way back to the office. I mean, that's a
something
little like then they get mugged.
Right.
Like that happens in New York, but you don't get mugged every time you walk out of your building in New York City, I don't think.
It could be story related where it's just like she was taken, I don't know. I was going to say she was taken from custody and they're all looking for her, but Matt did it legally.
Yeah.
So
I would say we need to tie it into Gozer somehow. Like either because we know we need to have Toph rushing off on her own and get saved by Daredevil.
Well, one thing that might be fun is that we should look more into what Toph's fears are. Maybe there's a superficial one that Matt can handle that scares the crap out of Toph, and she just kind of gets paralyzed. That Matt fights off.
Yeah, I know I'm positive she's claustrophobic because in The Last Airbender they put her in a big metal box,
right,
and lock her in, and she can't bend, and she's trapped, and she freaks out. But she learns how to metal bend and then kicks major ass. Sorry, Grandma. And gosh, it's really cool. It's one of my favorite scenes.
Oh no, I love that scene. She's learning, she's figuring it out. She's finding little pieces of metal of rock in the metal. Yeah, okay. I mean,
we could kill two birds with one stone. So the lights go out, right? Just hear me out. This might be a dumb idea. So the lights go out in the subway, all right? Matt and Toph are leading everybody out. Not quite sure what the hell just happened.
Sure.
And they walk up the doors of the subway, and there is a line of police out there, guns drawn, saying, "Don't move." Like, all of you people, the police think that they're looking at something else. So they've set up a cordon on the subway, thinking that they've just caught a bunch of bad guys, which is actually just these people blindly coming out of the subway.
Yeah.
And then Matt can be like, okay, everybody stop. And Toph starts to bend, and they start shooting at her. And she's like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
And Matt's like, just stay here, keep these people safe. And then he runs off. She's like, where are you going? And then Daredevil shows up, subdues all the police.
Yeah.
And then everybody kind of gets out, right? And then Matt comes running back around the other side, and she's like, who is that? Right? They get away or whatever, and then they have that discussion.
It's a problem of logistics with that one.
Like
he's not going to have
auditory logistics?
Yeah, not auditory logistics. It's just like, really, he runs off, gets his costume quickly enough, comes back, beats him up, takes it off, comes back. I don't think so. It's if he stays in, if the situation is set up so it's just a couple of cops, not a whole thing, and it's still in the subway, he can walk off. He can subdue the cops without anybody noticing because it's dark.
Oh, but Toph would be able to see.
But Toph would be able to understand it.
She'd be able to see him do it.
Through her own way.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I like that. And also, that can also establish that we know that Gozer is in this body, because they can all be like, oh my God, it's dark. And then this woman like calmly walks out, and Toph and Matt would be able to hear her go, I think that there are demons down here. Don't let anybody escape. And then she walks up the stairs, and the cops draw their guns.
Right.
And Matt and Toph both hear, oh yes, I love this. They both hear them draw their guns.
Yeah.
Click the safeties off, and Toph's like, what's that? Matt's like, get down. And they start shooting. Oh, I hate this I hate this. But it could happen. And, a gun goes off, and Toph's like, what is that? And
I think it was just one shot gets off.
And then Matt goes into full Daredevil mode.
Full Daredevil mode before they can get any more shots off.
Into the crowd of people in the dark.
Right.
And then everybody starts to freak out. And Toph getting pushed around. It's like, then we can see a bit of her fear, the claustrophobia, because she can't bend people.
Sure.
But people start to shove and move her around, and she gets taught in like a big throng of people, and she starts to freak out.
Yeah.
And then she causes a big quake on the ground. Everybody falls over, including Matt.
Yeah.
And the cops are subdued. Matt grabs her. He's like, everybody stay calm. We're going. Follow me this way. Follow the sound of my voice.
Right. And then Toph just starts questioning.
Yep. That's a perfect setup for any conversation.
Okay, cool. So we're kind of getting the basics of it. Like, Act 1 is they meet up with each other through the circumstances we talked about before. Gozer comes through that portal through this cult convention, looking for power, causes an interruption. Matt and Toph happen to be there. They go out, they start investigating this through other power disturbances, eventually encounter it, trying to take over Stark Tower, do their thing with like grounding all the electricity, and put her back in her dimension. So the basics are all there. We just need to get into more details. And I'm talking about, because we've got 10 minutes left.
Right.
So the next question is, and I'm going over the fundamentals before we get into details.
Right. I'm a very detail-oriented person.
For sure. I like getting, it's like I'm building my foundations before I...
Because you're going to be writing this one, right?
Sure. Yeah, I'll write it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's your story. I would love to see you write this.
Okay.
And I think that's a good idea. I think that'll be fun.
Cool.
For you to kind of take a crack at this.
Absolutely. So they're gone. Toph needs to go home.
Well, Toph can go home through the same rift in the portal that's created when they kick Gozer back.
At the same time?
Yeah. Because
they need to close that portal fast.
Well, right, which would be like Toph would be grounding out the electricity using the book to hold the portal open.
What if... Oh, my God. What if she doesn't go back for a little while? What if the book has the answer to get her back, but they don't know what spell exactly is the right one? They know the wrong one. They're like, don't use this spell to get that, because that'll just bring Gozer back. But we have no idea how to get you back, but this book probably has the answer. So they probably she's just kind of there in New York for a couple of weeks trying to figure things out, and that's where she's like not in a hurry to go home yet either. She's like, this is really interesting, actually. I like this city, because we talked about how she got inspired to
lead,
to not just lead, but like, remember how very early on we said that she gets inspired to create a city by being in New York.
Well, help create a city
in the land of Avatar, The Last Airbender. So she's just like, actually, this setup's pretty cool, and I have some ideas, so I don't quite want to leave yet. And he's like, well, okay. Well, we'll figure out this spell, and then then the story can end there. It's just where Toph just sticks around for a minute.
Well, I feel like what I want to see in this between the two of them is them talking about the future.
Okay.
Maybe Matt brings up, like, what if we can't get you home? And Toph says, well, I've already fought my battle at home. I don't know if there's anything there more for me to do. Because think about it. At the end of The Last Airbender, the Fire Lord loses his power, and like the war is over, and now Aang doesn't really need her anymore as a fighter.
They're friends.
No, I know.
She's going to want to go back. I don't think that's what her being her motivation.
Hold on.
Okay.
They're friends. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure.
But think about it this way. Toph has been living as a fighter this whole time. That's what she's really, really good at, is fighting.
Yeah.
Now she's like, okay, but Aang, my friend, and all my other friends don't need a fighter anymore. Fighting is kind of going away because the war is over. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And Matt can say, well, maybe they don't need a fighter right now. Maybe they need somebody else. And then Toph can say, I think the city always needs a fighter. But she's like, what were these guys doing with guns when they were shooting at us? Well, that's our police force. They keep people safe.
Yeah.
She's like, okay. I want them to have that conversation where Toph realizes what she can do for Aang.
Yeah.
And what he can do in the future to help the police force. Yeah, she can
stick around and learn. I think that the way that would be established is she needs to make a choice where she has the choice to go back, and she can go back at any time because they've learned the book enough to where they say, okay, well, you ready to go back? And she's like, I don't know. There's some things here that I think are pretty cool that I think I can take back with me, and I'd like to learn a little bit more. And it's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, you guys got this giant city with police and amazing transportation. Everybody lives together in harmony.
That could be true. I mean, I don't want her to not go back by the end of the podcast.
I think that
because I just want to tie it up. I do.
I would want to tie it. You can tie it up emotionally, where she's like, I've done my job, but like, and Matt's like, so you're going to go back? She's like, yeah, I will.
But if we do our job...
Give me a minute.
If we do our job correctly, she's going to want to go back immediately with these ideas.
Yeah, but what if she's wants to do some research?
I think that research needs to happen. We need to see it happen.
Throughout. You're right. Okay. Through actions. Okay. Then we need to figure out how she's leaving.
Well, I think
she could go back in the same portal because that's how Gozer and her got back there.
I think that she can hold the portal open.
How would she do that?
Well, okay, so she's grounding out all the electricity, right?
Yeah.
And they use the spell to use the energy that Gozer has just kind of used and collected as it's grounding.
Sure.
She opens this portal.
Yeah.
They kick Gozer back into where she belongs using their imagination and the spell.
Yeah.
And then they know that all Toph has to do is imagine being home and then go through the portal.
Okay.
And maybe she can be torn up to this point if she's going to go back or not because she's not sure what to do. And they can have a brief conversation as she's holding this open where Matt's like, it's time for you to go. Are you going to go back or something? And she says, there are things that I have to do and friends that I need to help. And so do you.
Yeah.
And then, boom, she goes back through.
Okay. So logically, we need to set it up so they have control over the portal like that. So the way I would do that is I would get the original reality bending guy on board.
Yeah, the first occult guy after they cure him of his craziness.
Yeah, well, the assistant is the one who's dealing with craziness, so he can't help.
No,
but the first occult guy can help because he understands what's in those spells.
Right. So what? Yeah, like what I was saying in the beginning.
So they find him and they're like, you're coming with us. Like, why? It's like, because we need your help. Why? Just come with us.
Because you've done something terrible.
No, well, his assistant did.
Well, no.
But you know what those things are. Because he can talk about the book. He's like, that's all my spells. And it's like, were you actually doing real spells? Like, well, yeah. I mean, there's mutants around. There's gods around. I can do spells. What's the big deal?
Well, yeah.
It's like, okay, well, your assistant just did a spell that created some shit. And it's like, well, what did he do? I don't know. Some sort of portal. Oh, I know what that is.
Well, in the way I was imagining it is that the main occult guy, is using this ritual magic, and then he says to his assistant, now imagine something, because the fuel for the spell is his assistant's imagination.
Sure.
Right? Just like Gozer uses other people's imagination for her powers. So then...
Well, if he's using a spell and if he says it right, then that's what the spell is.
Well, right. He's using the ritual magic of the spell, but one of the ingredients is his assistant's imagination. That's what the end product will be.
Okay.
So in that little hole, that's why Gozer possesses his assistant and not him.
Okay.
Because his assistant is imagining, Gozer uses that imagination.
Okay, so we need to establish that early on.
That's in the beginning of the thing.
Okay.
Is Gozer possesses the assistant.
Yeah.
And then leaves, takes the book, as the occult guy is like, hey, that's my book. Gozer, makes the guy see spiders everywhere, freaks him out.
Mm.
Then that's how Matt and Toph meet him, is because they're interviewing people at the occult place, and they're like, this guy has literally been weeping in the corner for all day.
Yeah.
Saying something about spiders.
Okay.
They fix him, find out he's the occult guy, and then get a bigger picture and bring him on board.
Right.
And that's how they know how to control things, because he knows the book.
So when they ground the electricity and take away her powers, then they're like, now open the portal.
Right, as they're grounding it out,
right,
taking away her powers.
And then Daredevil kicks him through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That works.
Yay.
So we have the basics of the story.
Yeah, we do.
All set to go.
Now we just got to write it. That's the next step.
I think the next step we should take, and I think you should do this because I'm going to write the screenplay. You should write the treatment.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can add some stuff just to like make sure things are logical.
Uh-huh.
I can work with you on that once you've written it and go, okay, here's where I'm confused, or here's where I don't think this would work. Let's hammer out the treatment properly. One of the things we're not going to do on this podcast is like write in real time.
Yeah, because that takes forever.
It takes time, and I need to be alone when I'm writing.
I want to be alone.
Yeah, when I'm typing, I can't type and come up with ideas out loud. I can come up with broad ideas, write them down, but once it's time to write scripts, I can't do that. It doesn't work for me. So I would say you should write the treatment.
Okay.
1 to 2 pages, whatever you want, whatever works for you.
Going over the beats of the story.
Going over the beats of the story, so
Sure.
we fully understand everything. I can read it. We'll read it out loud, and I can be like, okay. Some of these parts aren't making sense.
Mm-hmm.
We'll fix them, and then when we're done, I'll be like, okay, I'll go write the screenplay.
And then I'll sit on camera for 4 hours while you go write it quietly, talking to myself about bees.
Or like a couple days.
And then, or a couple days just sitting here in your living room.
Just
and then,
staring.
Yep. And then you'll come back.
I will.
I told you I don't have a place to go home to. I'm just kidding.
You have a car. You have a bridge.
I've got a bridge.
You've got an underbridge.
I've got a girlfriend. I've got a little dog as well. It's pretty great.
Your little ball of awesome.
Yes.
That just wanted to be a part of everything.
That's right. We had to move locations.
We did.
Because she's so great.
She's so great, we had to move.
Well, she's whiskey and it's her place.
I used to think that, I always wonder, like, who has the pants in that relationship? Because Katie and Garrett have strong wills. But now I know.
Whiskey wears the pants in our relationship.
Yeah.
That's our dog's name, by the way.
Yes.
No, we don't have a problem. Well, this has been productive, man.
Yeah, it has.
You guys had fun
I'm
and
surprised
enjoyed.
how fast we came up with that.
Me too. That actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, subscribe, hit the bell for the ding, and you're gonna see the next episode where we start putting this thing on its feet, getting scripts together. That's what it's all about. I'm excited about this story.
I'm excited too.
I think Gozer was a good choice.
I think it was.
We're gonna have to, when I write this treatment, it's gonna be a lot of me checking our work to make sure that.
Totally.
Gosh.
Yeah, because all the fans will be like, Gozer couldn't do that. Gozer wouldn't do that. Toph wouldn't do that. Daredevil wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So we're never going to avoid that.
Yeah, of course we're not. But as long as we do our research.
Yeah, let's do our research and make sure we're following the rules. And if we want to change rules,
then we can.
Then
right.
Screw it. The Daredevil has claws.
Yeah, he does.
Great job, man.
You too, man.
I'll see you next episode.
Oh, yeah.
Peace.
Peace out.